I am getting married in January and just found out my fiancé, Mark, invited his old situationship to our wedding without consulting me. For context, Mark and I met on a dating app 2 years ago after he broke up a relationship. It's quite confusing what he and Tracy had. They met because of a mutual friend and started to develop feelings for each other. Mark told me they never dated or slept together, but it was more than friendship. Until today, he keeps her love letters, gifts, and talks about her. Tracy and he tried to stay in contact after the breakup, staying friends, but she ghosted him after finding out we started to date. From what I saw on her social media, she's in a relationship, so I'm not worried about her trying to get with my fiancé again. They haven't been in contact for 2 years, but he still has her number and email. I found out about him inviting her after I checked our guest list and found her name. I know Tracy is not a threat to our relationship, but Mark inviting her behind my back makes me feel bad about our whole wedding. He told me he doesn't feel anything for her, yet he made sure to send her an invitation. This is probably me being insecure, but my fear of him not getting over her is slowly creeping inside my heart. I don't want to lose him. Now for some comments. One commenter said, he's probably not over her, especially since they were never a thing. For him, she might be the one that got away. If I were you, I would have a very serious talk with him. I replied, I don't get why he is not over her, especially if they were never a thing. From what Mark told me, he was the one who didn't want a relationship since Tracy just started life. Another commenter added, tell him you don't want her there, and that's final, and he better rescind it, or you'll have to rethink the marriage, because starting a married life by going behind your back is a no-no. To Beiji, you need to not stubbornly hold on to someone you can't trust, and you can't trust someone who does stuff behind your back. I responded, her going to the wedding doesn't make me uncomfortable since I know she won't do anything. The problem is my fiancé and the fact he invited her to the wedding without notifying me. If Mark wanted her there, fine, but I just hate the fact he didn't tell me beforehand, and it's making me think he lied about getting over her. Another commenter said, yeah, no sis, they haven't had contact for years? He kept her old love letters? He went behind your back to invite her? Hell no. I'd uninvite myself to the wedding. I replied, they are in no contact for 2 years. She immediately blocked him after knowing we were seeing each other. The whole situation is making me second-guess our wedding. When asked what reason he gave for inviting her, I said, I haven't confronted Mark yet. I just found out a few hours ago, and I'm waiting for him to come back. Another commenter asked, how did he invite her if they haven't been in contact? Is she still at her old address? Did she confirm she's coming? I replied, he has her email, and I believe she didn't block him there. There was her name, but Tracy didn't confirm her presence. One more commenter asked, why do you keep saying I know she won't do anything? If you can't trust him not to do anything with an old fling, you should not be getting married. I responded, Tracy has a boyfriend and is expecting. Also, she was the one who blocked him everywhere after finding out we were dating. The commenter replied, right, but my point is, you should be saying I know he wouldn't do anything to jeopardize our relationship. I said, you're right. I don't think I can trust him anymore. Now for the update. After reading the comments and talking with some friends, my heart finally understood Mark never really got over Tracy. In the beginning, I was in denial, but I went out with Tom, his best friend of years, to understand what really happened between them. From what he told me, Tracy and Mark met because of some friends in common. She just got into the university and was 17 at the time, while Mark was already almost graduating. They stayed friends for 2 years, and feelings started to blossom. Mark was already working while she was still in college, and he only wanted to formally date her after her graduation, so it was never a thing, even though they shared love letters, gifts, and shared almost every holiday together. Tom told me everyone from their old friend group thought they would marry since they were so sweet together. So, their breakup was really unpredictable. Tracy was the one who broke up with Mark due to their religious values not lining up, as she wanted to save herself until marriage. In the end, they decided it was better to go separate ways and maybe try again after a few years. But after Mark and I started to date, Tracy realized that it was pointless to wait for him and started to see other people too, so she blocked him on everything except email, just to have a clean beginning. In the end, I finally realized Mark is just hopeful that Tracy would come back to him due to their talks of trying again after a while. It honestly hurt so much, as I loved him so much. I still didn't confront him since I'm still shaken up, but I don't know if this marriage will happen. I am going to update once I calm down and confront him. Now for a few comments. One commenter asked, why have you not asked him why she was added to the invite list yet? There could be a reasonable explanation. I replied, I don't want to break down in front of him while asking. I need to cool off first. The commenter responded, but you talked to his best friend? You know that Tom is going to give him a heads up. I said, I wanted to know the nature of their relationship first. The commenter added, well, I think a positive is that Tom's version lines up with Mark's. I think you should ask Mark about it before Tom has an opportunity to give him a heads up and for him to make up some reason for the invite. Another commenter suggested, I'd write down all your feelings and thoughts in a letter to him. Explain what Tom said to you. Tell him it aligns with him, keeping the love letters, trying to stay in contact, and bringing her up even 2 years later while in a relationship with you. Tell him you love him enough to let him go. I'd also reach out to Tracy and ask if your fiancé has been talking to her at all. You never know if there is more to the story or if she has moved on from him. From what you wrote, it doesn't seem like he moved on from her. He shouldn't be inviting someone he still has romantic feelings for to his wedding. That's cruel to you, his future wife, and Tracy as well. If I was her, I'd feel like he was trying to shove his relationship in my face. I'd be offended he even invited me. Also, will this be his first time seeing her in 2 years? For some reason, I seriously doubt it. However, if it is, that's pretty diabolical. It's like he is using your wedding and you as a prop in their love story. Does he think he's the male lead in some K-drama? At the very least, give him the letter. If he wants to meet up, ask to see his phone. Go through his deleted messages and sent emails along with his trash folder. I think there's more to the story. Were you supposed to walk down the aisle and just see Tracy there? He's honestly an A, and a selfish one at that. I'm here to announce that the wedding has been called off. My parents are canceling everything for me, and it feels like I've returned to my childhood when they had to solve my problems. I confronted Mark after talking with Tom and made him aware of everything I've been dealing with. His reaction was dismissive, almost as if he was trying to escape the situation. In the end, Mark said he never loved someone like Tracy because it was pure and innocent. She reminded him that not everything is about carnal desire, and in the darkest moments of his life, Tracy was like sunlight. Hearing the man you love admit how much he loved another woman is so hurtful. During the talk, I started to cry. Mark had the audacity to say he loves me, but it's a different kind of love. I asked why he invited her to our wedding, and he was speechless. Why did he have to throw away our future for something in the past? This hurts so much. Mark told me he knew Tracy didn't block him on email since he was the one who helped her get her first job, and a lot of professional stuff was involved. This is how he was able to send her our wedding invitation, but he meant no harm. When I asked what he meant by this, Mark just said he wanted to make her watch us together and realize what she lost because he was hurt that Tracy was pregnant and not married. The moment Mark mentioned Tracy's pregnancy, a red alarm started to echo in my head. How did you know about her pregnancy? You said she blocked you everywhere. I could see panic in his eyes as he started to stutter. In the end, I made him give me his phone, and I found more than 5 accounts to stalk Tracy. My stomach felt sick, and the urge to vomit was overwhelming. In the end, I decided to call off the engagement since he was a creep. Mark threw himself on the floor, asking for forgiveness, saying he loves me, just in a different way compared to Tracy, and was just hurt that she gave herself to another man while he begged her countless times for intimacy. This made me feel even more disgusted with him because he felt entitled to her virginity and body. I left without taking even a bag with me. Everything is just too much. I can't believe I spent 2 years loving a stalker, a man-child. Oh, I also told Tracy everything and about his accounts. I don't know if she saw my messages, but I hope she does. The jealousy I once felt for her transformed into pity, as no woman should go through what Mark has done. Mark wants to meet up with me and doesn't want to break up, but I'm just so tired. Small update. Tracy messaged me and wants to grab a coffee with me. Now for some comments. One commenter said, I am so sorry. This really sucks. You should have your parents get your stuff, and you should stay as far away from Mark as you can. If he is capable of stalking Tracy, he is capable of stalking you. Make sure that there are security cameras at your parents' house, and you should block him. The only bright side is that you found this out before you married him. Then I replied, I'm thinking about leaving the US and going to another country. Social media is not for me, so it's harder for him to stalk me. I don't have anything of great value in Mark's house, except some clothes and makeup, so I don't care if he throws it away. Another commenter said, I hope you can heal from this, and you are truly lucky to have found out before the wedding. So many women discover something like this when it's way too late, or like you before the wedding, but unlike you, go through with the wedding thinking that he loves me too. Marriage will make him forget, and they only talk through email, so it's not that deep. They ignore that giant red panda and don't even dig deep enough to find out he was also stalking her. I'm sorry you met a psycho like this. It takes a lot to follow your gut and leave while marriage is imminent like you did. You truly are exceptional and know your worth. I replied, thank you. Then another commenter said, so happy that you got to know all this before you married that small man. I replied, the fact he claimed he's 1.80 when he's only 1.73 lol. Now for the next update. I think this is my last update since I've already met up with Tracy and talked about what happened. We met at a cafe, and in the beginning, I was really nervous as I didn't know what her reaction would be because her reply was only, "Hi, let's talk over a cup of coffee." When I was waiting for her, I could feel my back sweating and overall, lots of emotion. Tracy arrived, and I finally understood why Mark was so obsessed with her, as she is definitely one of the most beautiful women I saw. She's pretty in the pictures, but personally, she looks better. Tracy said hello to me and asked if I'm willing to go to her house to talk, since being outside for too long makes her really tired. We ordered some coffee to go, and it was super awkward. So now let's talk about what she told me. First of all, she apologized for being the reason why now I'm single, which I assured her is not her fault. Tracy said she received the invitation, but was simply not interested in participating in our wedding as she was already in a happy relationship, and it was pointless to see a person from the past. With the story Tom and Mark told me, I got curious and asked about them staying friends, as it sounded like she wanted to stay with him after the breakup, and it's the polar opposite of her behavior. Tracy was extremely uncomfortable with this question, but still explained to me why she said that. In the beginning, she was really in love with Mark because he was her first love. She described him as a protector, someone trustworthy, handsome, and kind, as he always showered her in gifts and travels. Everything was fine and sweet, but over time, Mark started to beg her for intimacy so much to the point of her pretending to be sick just to avoid him. She just didn't want to sleep with him and had some sort of blockage, like a sixth sense telling her not to do this. She was sick and tired of all of this and used the fact that her parents are extremely religious to justify why intimacy was off the chart. This led to a fight, which Mark never told me, and them breaking up. But 2 weeks after, they started to talk again as she felt indebted to him as he helped her get a job in a prestigious company, and he spent a lot of money on her with trips, food, and presents. One of the gifts was a Rolex for her 18th birthday, which made me mad since he never spent so much money on me. So when Tracy found out me and Mark were seeing each other, she felt relieved and finally had a proper reason to block him everywhere since he was still sometimes hinting about them sleeping together. In the end, I told her in the entire relationship, Mark would sometimes talk about her, and in the beginning, it was kind of weird, but I just brushed it off since she was part of his story. Oh, I also talked about Mark's numerous accounts, and in the beginning, she didn't believe me, but I showed her the accounts I knew, which was creepy since they all had female names, followers, and pictures. All of them looked real. Her account is public, so I asked Tracy to make it private. She made a new account with her Korean name and deactivated the old one. We had fun and became friends. She is a really sweet person, and I saw how her boyfriend treated her like a queen. I'm happy she found love and got rid of Mark. Now for a final comment. One commenter said, I'd out Mark to his family and friends so everyone is aware of what a dangerous creep he is. Barf. I replied, I'm going to text his mom. What Mark has done is absolutely atrocious and incredibly disgusting. I'm glad you got a newfound friend from this and dropped that trash bag of a person. Also, in general, go you, Ope. Be sure to take care of yourself. Take a well-needed vacation with friends or a nice spa day. Basically, treat yourself. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, why did he buy her a Rolex for her 18th birthday? I thought they didn't start dating until a few years after they met, and she was 17 when they met. OP responded, they were only friends. The same commenter replied, ew, that's so creepy and weird. So she was 17 and he was friends with her. No one buys a 17 turning 18-year-old girl a Rolex as a friend. Another commenter suggested, girl, maybe her new boyfriend has some single friends who aren't crazy he can introduce you to. OP replied, hopefully. I need a blonde 6'5" guy. Then another commenter added, works in finance? OP responded, trust fund. The same commenter joked, I'm hearing the remix version in my head right now. Finally, a downvoted commenter said, oh, for frick's sake, are you all buying into this BS? OP replied, it's your choice to believe what happened to me or not. Am I the idiot for leaving my sick wife after discovering her affair with a family friend? Here's the script. I have been married to my wife Victoria for over 32 years. We have 3 adult daughters and 1 adult son. Early this year, she started menopause. I loved her and supported her throughout this difficult time. She said she didn't want to have intimacy because she felt like she was fat and ugly. I told her she was beautiful, and I was patient with her. It was only since this month that she wanted us to have intimacy again. I thought things were getting better until I saw a condom wrapper in our bedroom. My job involves going out of town for business trips. This last trip, I tried to get into my wife's social media, and luckily enough, she used someone's birthday as the password. I found out her affair partner is Zachary, a family friend who has a wife. On my trip, I read many messages. One message involved Zachary asking if it was okay to come over for their fun time, since he thought he was coming down with something. Even after getting back in town, I read some messages. Zachary messaged that he and his wife have the flu, so he can't see my wife for a while. My wife said that her getting the flu was worth it. I came home to my wife, who's suffering from the flu. I immediately told her that I know about her and Zachary. She was upset, but too weak from the flu to stop me from packing and leaving. She begged me not to leave her alone while she's sick. After I left, my wife has been messaging me. She said she's very sick. I told her to go to the doctor, call an ambulance, or call someone else. She said she's not dying, but she needs me. She said she can't call our kids, nor any other family member, since they'll ask why I'm not there. She said that menopause had made her crazy and that she wouldn't see Zachary anymore. I still haven't gone back. Am I the jerk? Now for a few important comments. A commenter suggested calling the wife and kids before she lies to them. I responded that I would hate to tell my kids, but I may have to if their mom will lie to them. Another commenter said menopause did not make her cheat and suggested mailing NyQuil to her. I replied that I'll never know what menopause feels like, but I've known other women who've gone through it and managed to avoid having intimacy with a married man who's a family friend. Someone advised seeing a lawyer and asked if I live in a no-fault state. I responded that I took screenshots and saved evidence in other ways. Whether or not they can be used in court is something I'll find out from a lawyer. Another commenter said not to feel sorry for her just because she's got the flu. I replied that I have to fight the natural instincts, which are to feel sorry for her and to take care of her. I will see a lawyer. A single woman commented that she takes care of herself when she's sick, and my wife can too. I responded that my wife literally chose to have intimacy with a man who warned her that he was coming down with something. Afterwards, she messaged him that their fun was worth getting the flu. I have to remember that in case I feel sorry for her. Someone suggested marriage counseling if I still love her. I replied that I will be getting a divorce. Another commenter warned that my wife might say I was verbally hurtful and advised me to go on the offensive. I replied that I told my kids and Zach's wife. Now for the update a day later. The answer was obvious, but I needed other people to tell me, so I didn't stupidly go back to my wife. Zach's wife and my adult kids know that my wife Victoria had an affair with Zachary. Zach's wife kicked him out of their house. All kids are on my side, and they want us to divorce. I talked to a friend who's a major divorce attorney for the third time. I've given her a lot of the evidence so she can decide what we can use. She did say that I should be careful with what I say online, especially since I used Victoria's and Zachary's real names. Our kids, especially our eldest daughter, are pressuring their mom to make this a quick and easy divorce. Now for some of the excuses and minimizations my wife made for her cheating. Menopause made her crazy. She felt fat and ugly. She felt like she didn't deserve me. Zachary came on to her first. She wanted to make sure a man could be attracted to her without him being obligated to because she's the mother of his children. She had intimacy with Zachary to make sure she could still have intimacy. Zachary didn't mean anything to her. I'm overreacting because Zachary is a family friend, not a family member. Zach's wife isn't like a daughter to us. She didn't betray a woman that's like a daughter to us. Other husbands have forgiven their wives when the wives cheat. If I had intimacy with a younger woman during a midlife crisis, she would have forgiven me. We have 4 kids. We've been together for so long. I promise to love her in sickness and in health. Now for a few more comments. A commenter noted it's interesting how she's refusing to acknowledge any harm she did to the other wife. I replied that Zach's wife is someone Victoria and I watched grow up. She was like a niece. Our eldest daughter was the maid of honor for their wedding. Menopause makes just about every woman gain weight, especially in the stomach. I went through it about 13 years ago. Never cheated on my husband. Now for a few comments. One commenter noted that having feelings about aging can be a real struggle, but it's up to the person struggling to address and fix it. They said, I feel unattractive isn't a free pass to check with the public about one's attractiveness. If she needed outside validation beyond you telling her and showing her that you still loved her and found her attractive, there were plenty of ways that didn't involve someone else's involvement. They concluded with, still not the idiot. I'm saddened for all of you involved in the blast radius of this shit show. Then OP responded, thank you. I was there constantly telling her how beautiful I found her. Why would she need another man to feel better? Another commenter shared that they're in the early stages of menopause and it hasn't caused them to cheat. They found it amusing that Zach was seeing another woman while seeing the married woman. They added, the wife lost everything. I hope her AP was worth it. Zach's wife and the husband can be each other's support system. It would be so ironic if he and Zach's wife got together. OP replied, I had watched Zach's wife grow up. She was like a niece. It would be icky, for a lack of a better term. Am I the idiot for refusing to share the aisle with my daughter's stepdad and being accused of ruining her wedding? My daughter, female 25, is getting married next spring. I've been looking forward to this for years, and she and I have always been close. Her mom and I split when she was around 12, and she mostly lived with me after that. I've been in her life full time, so I always figured I'd have that classic father-daughter moment at her wedding. Her mom remarried about 5 years ago, and let's just say I'm not a fan of her new husband. He's a guy who always needs to be the center of attention, loud and over the top, and just exhausting. He's pulled stunts even at family gatherings for my side, always making everything about him. I've put up with it to keep things civil, but it's been a challenge for me all the time. I still invite him for my daughter's sake. Fast forward to now, my daughter is wedding planning and told me that she'd like her stepdad to walk her halfway down the aisle with me. I couldn't believe it. I told her that, as her actual father, it's a bit hurtful to have to share this big moment with someone who's only been in her life for a few years. I've been there, through everything. Every school event, every late night, every hard time. Her stepdad has just recently come into the picture, and it stings that she wants to include him in a moment I always assumed was ours. To make things even harder to swallow, I'm covering all the wedding expenses. I've spent a significant amount so she could have her dream wedding. I don't want to be petty, but part of me feels like it's only fair to expect that I'd have the honor of walking her down the aisle, just me and her. She got defensive, saying she wants to include him because he's been supportive, but I explained that, to me, this is about a father-daughter tradition and how much I value our relationship. Now she's upset, and my ex-wife has also joined, saying I'm being selfish and making it all about me. I've now become a full-blown topic of discussion, with everyone throwing some pretty harsh words my way. In frustration, I finally told her that if she really wants him to be there, she should ask him if he'd also like to split the bills. That might have been a bit much, but I was feeling cornered. So, am I the jerk for not wanting to share the aisle with her stepdad, especially since I'm also paying for the whole thing? I just want to add a note here as there is some confusion. My daughter told me she wants him to walk her down the aisle, as my ex-wife and her husband asked her for this. This was not something that she came up with. Just wanted to provide that clarity, as some people are thinking it was my daughter's wishes. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "Not the jerk. This is your ex-wife's and her partner's wish, not your daughter's. Don't let yourself get manipulated into thinking you're in the wrong here." Another commenter added, "He wants to be center of attention again, on someone else's wedding day. Dude is gross. Warn daughter that he'll try and upstage her." A different commenter said, "Not the jerk. As a consistently active parent, even into adulthood, this is a significantly special moment for you and your daughter. Whether you're footing the bill of the wedding or not, you and you alone should be the one walking her down the aisle. Although, I have a feeling that the stepdad is the one who suggested this, not your daughter. She might have just been the messenger." Then I replied, "You are right. He did. Him and my ex-wife both did. I love my daughter a lot, but my wife left us alone when my daughter was just 12. She cheated on me and turned her back on our daughter too. She wanted to come back into our life, and I let her because at the end of the day, she is my daughter's mother. However, it hurts me that my daughter did not stand up to them or cannot clearly see that they are both trying to come between us. Sometimes I do think I should suck it up, but it breaks my heart at the same time." The same commenter responded, "They are already manipulating your daughter. Do not allow yourself to fall victim to that as well. Stand your ground. As the person who's paying for the wedding, let them know your only requests are to be the one who gives her away because you've walked with her through every stage of life and should be the one walking her down the aisle. And the father-daughter dance. Because from what it sounds like, they'll try to take that from you since you're walking her down the aisle. Also, talk to your daughter and let her know that asking and expecting you to share this moment with a man who played no part in raising her diminishes the constant love and support that you pour into her." I replied, "It really means a lot to hear that someone else gets where I'm coming from. It's been rough trying to explain that this isn't about control or making it about me, but rather about honoring the role I've had in her life. I appreciate the advice on setting boundaries. The father-daughter dance is something I hadn't even thought about them taking away, but now I'm worried you're right. I'm going to have an honest conversation with her and make it clear that these two moments, the walk down the aisle and the dance, are all I'm asking for as her father." The commenter encouraged, "I think you'll find that most people will agree with you. Maybe after you've gotten additional feedback, you can speak with your daughter and y'all come to an agreement. It may even help to share some of the feedback you've gotten from her. Good luck to you. Update us if you can." I responded, "Thank you. I will definitely try to talk to her and give an update by night as she is coming back from university today. Thank you once again for your advice and supportive words." Now for the update after talking with my daughter and family. I have not been able to read all comments, but I see some people asking for an update on this situation. There is a lot of comments, and I won't be able to reply to every one of them, so I'm adding my message here for everyone to read. I didn't expect so many people to comment on this situation, and I'm really grateful for all the perspectives and messages I've received. It made me feel very less alone. I also got some messages about the cost of the wedding. I have to add that this is a destination wedding, so some of the bills are due to flight costs, my daughter's makeup artists, and a few gifts I am giving to my daughter. So, after taking in your advice, I sat down with my daughter to have an honest conversation about everything. I explained why walking her down the aisle was so important to me, how much it means as her father, and why it felt unfair to be asked to share this moment with her stepdad. I apologized to her, trying to express that I never intended to make her worry about the bills. I told her I am doing it because I love her and want to give her the day of her dreams. I told her I said it out of frustration and she has nothing to worry about. Unfortunately, the talk didn't go as I'd hoped. She got pretty upset and told me I was ruining her day and that I didn't understand the pressure she was under from everyone to keep the peace. She was worried about her mom getting angry, and when I told her I felt hurt by all of this, she accused me of threatening her and even called me a narcissist. I'll be honest, she used terms I don't fully understand, but it stung. She mentioned that her mom has been really nice to her for the past few years and that she doesn't want to lose that relationship. To her, my ex-wife is her best friend now, and she didn't have that growing up. I get it. My ex-wife and my daughter do have a lot in common. Things like fashion, accessories, and other interests. My daughter is very much like her in that regard. My ex-wife and her husband also came over so they could all discuss it as a family. My sister happened to be there too, and she stayed to support me, which helped me keep my calm. When they arrived, things only got more tense. My daughter told them she no longer wanted me paying for the wedding and asked if they could step in instead. I knew this was a very bad idea and knew it would not end well. I knew she would reject it, but it would break my daughter's heart. I thought my ex-wife would do it in a smart way, so my daughter is not hurt. But my ex-wife flat out said she couldn't pay because she was saving for her son's college fund. Her son from a marriage before her current husband. Her son is 15, so college is still 5 to 6 years away, but she said that was her priority. I knew this would end this way, but I never expected my daughter to get frustrated with me and just ask them directly. I knew she trusted her mom deeply, and I did want her to know her mother is not the best support, but I didn't want my daughter finding out this way. I could see it really broke her heart. My daughter really had started to trust her mother. Her husband then jumped in, saying I was being a jerk and making the day about myself. At that point, I finally had enough. I told them that my intent was never to hold anything over anyone, especially not my daughter, and I was only hurt because I wanted a moment with her that I'd looked forward to her whole life. I explained that I was still willing to pay for everything, but my daughter was visibly upset after realizing that her mom and stepdad weren't willing to contribute a cent to the wedding. By the end of it all, my daughter looked heartbroken. I could see she was hurt, realizing her mom would rather prioritize her half-brother's college fund years down the line over helping with her wedding now. She told me she needed some space to process everything, and I told her I'd give her all the space she needs. As for my ex-wife, she wasn't done. She said I'd ruined everything and that I was the reason my daughter no longer respects her mother and stepdad. She blamed me for this entire mess, saying I'd manipulated the situation to create a rift between them and my daughter. I'm glad my daughter knows the truth about her mom and stepdad, but I didn't want her to find out this way. So, that's where we're at. I'm just trying to be there for my daughter in whatever way she needs. I have to mention, my future son-in-law had insisted to my daughter that her mom and stepdad should pay for the wedding instead of me. When I talked to him about it afterward, he explained that he wanted my daughter to learn that her mom might not have the best intentions for her. To be fair, he's not a fan of my ex-wife because she's made snarky remarks about his mother in the past, so I know he only did this to get back at my ex-wife. But at the end, this has left my daughter feeling broken. She has a very open heart and trusts people easily. I wanted her to know this was wrong, but not in a way where she feels betrayed by her own mother. She carries a lot of pain from the past. Now for a few comments. Mom23GM23 said, "Good for you for sitting, get down, and apologizing for bringing up the cost. I feel terrible for your daughter that her mom put her in that position in the first place. I hope you and your daughter can get past this and that she can still have the wedding of her dreams." One more thing. IMO. If a step-parent or long-term partner of a parent is around for a child's formative years and a child feels they played a large part in helping them become the person that they are, they should be included as a parent. This does not fit here. Unless there is a lot more to the story. Her stepdad should be treated as her mom's husband. That is what he is.